So you think The Walking Dead or American Horror Story are frightening? Consider Rod Serling's original Twilight Zone. While the terror in those two shows is over the top, the horror in the Twilight Zone is much more subtle and far more psychologically frightening. So come along for the ride through some of the Twilight Zone's scariest episodes and see if you agree on this episode of Rerun Zone.
You're traveling through another dimension. A dimension not only of sight and sound, but of mind. A journey into a wondrous land of imagination. Next stop, the Twilight Zone.
All lists are subjective, of course, but here's our list of the scariest Twilight Zone episodes ever made. First up, The Howling Man, Season 2, Episode 5. Ask yourself this question: can you really hold the physical presence of the devil locked in a cell? That's precisely the question this episode asks as a traveler on a walking trip through Europe stumbles into an ancient castle occupied by a group of monks in the middle of a torrential downpour. H.M. Wynant plays the title character David Ellington. He begs the monks to let him stay the night, but they turn him down, telling him he has to leave. As Ellington stumbles to the door, he passes out on the floor. When he wakes up, he hears a disturbing howling and finds a man the monks have locked up in a dirty cell. The man begs Ellington to let him out, saying that the monks are insane and believe he is the devil. Strange camera angles add to the disturbing feeling of the episode, while the depiction of the monks makes it seem like they are indeed insane. Ellington notices that the man is held in the cell by a simple staff that could easily be removed. When Ellington questions the man why he hasn't just released himself, the man continues to plead for Ellington to hurry and release him before the monks find out and stop him. In one of the most shocking and scariest moments in Twilight Zone history, we see the actual transformation of the Howling Man into the devil himself. Living Doll, Season 5, Episode 6. Any longtime fan of the Twilight Zone remembers the doll Talkie Tina, voiced by famous voice actress June Foray, who was widely known for doing cartoon voices like Rocky the Flying Squirrel and Natasha Fatale. Here, however, she does a chilling rendition of an animated doll that sends shivers up your spine. Telly Savalas plays Eric Streeter, a cold, cruel man who directs his hostility toward his stepdaughter Christy. When Christy comes home with a new doll purchased by her mom Annabelle, Eric is not happy. When wound up by Christy, the doll says,
"My name is Talkie Tina, and I love you very much."
However, when stepdad Eric winds the doll up, it says a much different phrase.
"My name is Talkie Tina, and I think I could even hate you."
What happens after that is a pure trip in terror as Eric tries to get rid of the doll in many creative ways, like using a vise, a blowtorch, and finally a circular saw, all to no avail. If you've never seen this episode, Talkie Tina has something to say to you.
"My name is Talkie Tina, and you'd better be nice to me."
The Hitchhiker, Season 1, Episode 16. The Hitchhiker ranks up there as one of the best and scariest Twilight Zone episodes ever made. Starring Swedish actress Inger Stevens, it is the story of Nan Adams, who is driving cross-country from New York to LA when she gets a flat tire and barely survives when she loses control of her car. When a mechanic comes out to fix the flat tire on her car, he comments that he is surprised that she even survived. After that, Nan keeps seeing the same odd-looking hitchhiker on the side of the road. Who is this strange man, and why does he keep appearing ahead of her as she travels across the country? At one point, she stops at a railroad crossing, and when she sees the hitchhiker again, she panics and hits the gas, stalling out directly in front of an oncoming train. Starting the car and backing off the tracks at the last instant, she sees that the hitchhiker is gone after the train passes by. Nan is now convinced that the hitchhiker is trying to kill her. She drives on, becoming increasingly frightened, and stops only when absolutely necessary. But every time she comes to a halt, the hitchhiker is there, constantly ahead of her. Finally, Nan stops at a payphone to call her mother. A strange woman answers the phone, saying that her mother is in the hospital suffering a nervous breakdown. That's after her daughter's death 6 days ago when her tire blew out and her car overturned. Nan finally realizes that she had never survived the accident in Pennsylvania. When she returns to the car, the mysterious hitchhiker is now sitting in the back seat and says,
"I believe you're going my way."
And When the Sky Was Opened, Season 1, Episode 11. In this chilling episode, Serling adapts a short story by frequent contributor Richard Matheson and adds an extra dose of terror. In the episode, 3 astronauts return to Earth after their experimental spacecraft briefly disappears during a flight. After returning to Earth, they start to feel as if they no longer belong, as if they weren't supposed to come back. The suspense is increased by excellent performances from the Time Machine's Rod Taylor, a young Jim Hutton, and veteran actor Charles Aidman. They sell the unsettling horror feeling of being erased from memory. The story opens with Rod Taylor's character, Colonel Clegg Forbes, questioning Jim Hutton, who plays Major William Gart, if he remembers their partner on the ship, Colonel Ed Harrington. Clegg becomes more and more agitated while trying to convince Gart that Harrington existed, but Gart remains unconvinced.
Harrington? Ed Harrington? I don't know anybody named Harrington.
In a flashback, we switch to a scene where Colonel Clegg is in a bar with Colonel Harrington, having a couple of beers. Harrington suddenly feels he doesn't belong and goes off to phone his parents. After checking up on Harrington, Taylor goes back to the bar only to shockingly find that Harrington's beer is gone and the Colonel has been completely erased from everyone's memory but his. Unsettling and disturbing, this episode brilliantly captures that all too familiar feeling of isolation from each other that we all feel from time to time. Nightmare at 20,000 Feet, Season 5, Episode 3. The 5th and final season of The Twilight Zone was a mixed bag of great and not so great episodes, but this next episode is one of the all-time classics. Starring William Shatner before he became famous as Captain Kirk, Shatner offers a remarkable performance as a passenger on an airliner who witnesses a monstrous gremlin fiddling with one of the engines. With a script by Zone regular Richard Matheson, this one digs into the fear of flying experienced by so many and turns up the terror to the max by introducing the creature that only Shatner can see. Shatner keeps trying to warn everyone about the gremlin's presence, but he seems crazy as the gremlin hides from everyone but him.
There's a man out there.
What?
Look, he's crawling on...
His credibility is also hurt because this is his first flight since he had a nervous breakdown 6 months ago on another aircraft. Directed by a young Richard Donner, who would go on to direct Superman, The Omen, and many other movies, this episode grips you from start to finish as the terror increases by the minute. If you've never seen the original Twilight Zone, do yourself a favor and start with these 5 terrifying episodes. If you'd like to see more of this type of content, click the link on the screen and tune in for more classic TV, movie, and pop culture trivia, reviews, and retrospectives on Rerun Zone. Goodbye for now.